It all began before the cameras had even begun to film. It all began with a single, bombshell accusation and some behind-the-scenes rumors. Sources close to the production said that during the filming of episode 3, Erica boldly accused Mena of having an affair in the past, causing the tension that had been building for months to finally explode. Insiders claimed that the atmosphere on set quickly deteriorated, but what happened next was not seen on television. 1. The producer was said to have lost it. "I kind of lost it," according to reports. As the team rushed to settle things down, Mendeecees responded with an angry outburst, even yelling at Erica. Erica isn't remaining silent this time. Even if Mendeecees hasn't publicly discussed the event, she said in an enigmatic message, "I stayed silent once, never again." Now, there are murmurs circulating that Erica is ready to go far, far beyond. She reportedly warned someone close to the cast, "I'll put him in jail this time if he wants to play dirty." After speaking with legal advisors, fans are taken aback. The family is in disarray. Yandy is trapped in the midst of a storm that is no longer confined to the background. What is really happening between Mendeecees and Erica? What is the extent of her willingness to go? Since season 13 began filming, the tension had been gradually increasing, hardly noticeable. However, nothing could have prepared anybody for the explosion that occurred in episode 3 behind the scenes. According to insiders, Erica appeared with a steely purpose in her eyes on the set that morning. It's the type of determination that results from months of unsolved issues and brewing animosity. Innumerable evenings had been spent mentally reliving events, recreating conversations and language fragments, obsessing over every little detail until the recollection of previous humiliation was more intense than ever. Drama is nothing new to her, and this time she was prepared to demand responsibility at all costs. In addition to speaking her truth, tension was in the air as the team got ready to film a group sequence. With her phone pressed and her ear listening, Erica stood slightly off camera. Carefully among the team, whispers spread like wildfire. She is discussing with someone legal action. The actual action was taking place out of sight, but the cameras were rolling. A creator unaware that the calm facade was about to break, they begged for silence. The event first unfolded as staged, courteous greetings, lighthearted conversation, and shallow grins. But then Erica dropped her clipboard on the ground as her eyes flashed. Every head turned as the boom reverberated around the studio. Her steady, quiet voice was the only sound. To break the dense stillness, "This is no longer what we do." DC was taken by surprise and looked at her with a mixture of astonishment and a more sinister sense of terror. Maybe he attempted to reply, but his words fell flat. He murmured something beneath his breath. According to a source, then the air was broken by a single profanity. The assistant cameraman who was close to him claimed to have heard him remark, "You've lost your mind." Erica's face remained fixed. Leaning forward, she spit out the charge she had practiced for months. "You know exactly why I'm here," crew members said, exchanging perplexed glances as they debated whether to stop shooting or step in. In that intense moment, the distinction between performance and reality became hazy. Yandy sitting opposite them, she seemed shell-shocked, her cheeks burning like a flame, and she was on the verge of crying. Had heard tales about an old pregnancy claim, but she had persuaded herself that it was a thing of the past. Yandy realized the wound had never healed as Erica's words cut through the tension, and she tried to stand to talk, but her legs felt weak. She would later confess that she had felt deceived by the crew's earlier jests and dismissals as well as her husband's silence. "I thought we were past this," she said in a whispered voice, breaking. "I assumed everything was over." Producers hurried in with their arms out. One of them, pale-faced, took Erica's arm in an attempt to quiet the tempest. "Let's," pleaded, "take a break," but Erica shrugged and said, "No breaks, until he is held accountable for his actions." "We can handle this off camera," said another producer as he attempted to escort Mendeecees away. Mendeecees, however, remained steadfast, his chest heaving, looking at the crew and then the cameras as if assessing his choices. The whole set held its breath for a minute as technicians in the editing room exchanged anxious glances. The video of Erica's altercation was invaluable. But would the network let such unplanned, even seasoned reality stars were left reeling by the violence with which true emotions emerged? Shocking fans, there was a lot of conjecture on social media. Had Erica really threatened to sue? Was Mendeecees concealing something terrible? The family had split apart, and what part had Yandy's prolonged silence played? Unexpected fault lines caused trust too. Break! Outside the studio walls, murmurs became roars. Erica's clip demanded audio snippets. Headlines blared as Mendeecees' shocked expletive made its way to blogs and gossip websites. Fans rallied behind both sides, choosing teams with Erica's explosive breakdown and Mendeecees' unexpected meltdown. Zeal, Team Erica for confronting historical injustice. Team Mendeecees for being, "I can't believe he cursed at her." Comments flooded in after Yandy was unjustly attacked, and Team Yandy endured the backlash in almost quiet. At last, she had her chance. Yandy should be held accountable. Digital battlefields were a hotbed of emotion, and cast members' friendships are divided. After the incident, Rashida reportedly drew Erica away to see if this was a genuine outburst or a ploy to boost ratings, according to one source. With her eyes flaming, Erica allegedly said, "I'm just doing what he should have done years ago. Accept responsibility." According to a second source, Scrappy spoke with Mendeecees privately and suggested that he release a. Mendeecees, as usual, remained silent, withdrawing into quiet like a fortress, but he made a public remark before the rumor mill killed them all. While this was going on, Yandy White withdrew to her trailer, shaking from head to toe, and was discovered moments later by a crew worker. She muttered, "I just want answers." In response to the question of what she required, her vulnerability only made her fans more envious. Fascination, the unadulterated nature of her suffering, which was subtly conveyed through unsteady behind-the-scenes footage, touched a raw spot. Viewers started to question how long Yandy had been aware of the rumors about the affair, what she had gone through in secret, and why she had continued to support Mendeecees. Erica withdrew to a quiet corner as the excitement of filming episode 3 subsided. As the consequences of her actions set in, she gazed at the overturned clipboard on the floor. A straightforward prop-turn sign of a refusal to comply. Her lips curled when her aide came over and handed her a folded piece of paper that, according to sources, had the contact details of a lawyer Erica had seen weeks before. She'd held the notice, which hadn't been filed yet, into a little, knowing grin, her thread in reserve, revealing it at the ideal time. Long shadows were created over the lot as the sun sank low outside the studio windows. As crews concluded their work for the day, the lights went down, but the tension persisted like smoke. And even after the camera stopped recording, the noise continued, echoing down the hallway. Erica's last comments to a shocked grip team member were, "This isn't done," until she turned to face the music and strode off, her heels tapping on the pavement, leaving a set shattered by wordless anger, shame, and a need for revenge. One clipboard was left ajar inside the deserted soundstage, its pages blowing in the wind from a misplaced door. Was a mute witness to the boundaries that were set between Yandy's allegiance and her pain, between Erica and Mendeecees, and between the polished reality that the audience was expecting and the unvarnished truth emerging behind the scenes. The unsolved questions lingered in the hallways as night fell, clamoring for answers. One thing was certain, until the fallout was completely revealed, nobody on that set would be able to sleep. The set was oddly quiet the morning after episode 3 concluded, with the typical hum of activity being replaced by whispered chatter and snatched looks. Erica was the first to arrive, her eyes blazing with resolve and her jaw set. Word got out that she was going to provide evidence of Mendeecees' treachery, and she had asked for a private meeting with producers. Everyone knew this was more than reality TV drama, and crew members wondered if she would finally show the hospital bills she had alluded to or provide eyewitness accounts. The whole shoot was a group dinner scenario designed to highlight laughing and reconciliation, and it seemed intimate, as if a dam had broken and flooded every inch of the day. Rather, it looked like a keg of powder. Erica sat at the head of the table, putting her proof folder in the front of everyone, and she made a forceful smiles, but there was a cold fire in her eyes. Mendeecees joined grudgingly, sweating in his palms, looking at the folder every now and then like it was a ticking time bomb. For a brief while, everyone followed the script as the director called for action, political grins, clinking glasses, and the customary banter. However, Erica said, "Cheers to truth," leaning forward. DC's voice cracked as he muttered, "Men," shattering the atmosphere. "Why are we unable to just put this behind us?" Erica's response was incisive. "Because you were never honest." Yandy's dish clattered when her fork struck it. "We're on TV," she said, shifting her attention from Erica to Mendeecees' tears. A courtroom is not a voice horse. With mics recording every word, the team held their breath. Yandy was seen in a shaky camera picture getting up from her chair, shoulders heaving, saying, "I can't do this," and pushing her chair back so hard that it scratched the floor. Production paused as she hurried out, leaving a stunned room and an empty chair in her wake. Assistants hurried to the situation and offered the cast water in soothing words, but Erica refused to back down. Shell-shocked and unwilling to look at anybody, a men's grip to her chest. Yandy's silence caused me to watch him cry. and Erica's confessional later exposed the storm raging inside her. Today was the first day, and I felt liberated from his lies, even though I was angry on the inside. Only the aftermath. Yandy's tears would be visible to viewers. Emotions were stronger than any of the staged confrontations, and social media was on fire as Erica's steely stance was transformed into an off-camera chimera. Within hours, clips of the explosion were circulated. Erica's angry statement left Mendeecees speechless, alongside hashtag #TMYYandy and hashtag Justice for Mendeecees. Yandy's departure and hashtag Team EA trended. Fans expressed their indignation on Twitter. How could he remain silent? She at last advocated for herself. Celebrity accounts chimed in, with some applauding Erica's bravery, and others accusing her of fabricating drama to boost her viewers. Yandy deserves better. As even supporting characters, the family was split up and friendships were put to the test. Rashida, Scrappy, in public, Bambi had to choose sides. As the sun sank on that turbulent day, she confronted Erica in an empty hallway. Erica responded steadily, "This is tearing us apart." Crew members describe his voice as low and frantic. Silence is a choice, too. You might have prevented it. His shoulders slumped, and he turned away silently. Erica sobbed for the first time throughout her confessional. "I just want him to say it. I want approval. I'm not a monster." Her tears glinted in the harsh fluorescent lights, a sharp contrast to the fact that I wasn't insane. Her former ferocity. Yandy showed up on set by herself the next morning, her shoulders hunched. "I need time," she said to a friend in a tremulous voice, avoiding her husband's eyes and concentrating instead on her own image in a little mirror. Insiders said that Yandy felt deceived by both Erica and Mendeecees, and fans speculated online that she could file for separation, while gossip sites suggested private therapy sessions. Amid the chaos, production executives gathered to choose how much of the off-camera drama to include into future episodes. She was torn between pity for the lady he had supposedly hurt and devotion to her husband. Others worried the network may pull the plug, while others fought for openness, arguing that viewers needed honesty. Plug if the legal ramifications were too bad. According to reports, network attorneys looked at Erica's files and spoke about possible defamation issues. Producers could be heard discussing in the corridors whether the incident would increase viewership or lead to legal action. The uncertainty only increased the tension and drew all of the actors into an implicit alliance or conflict. The next day, by noon, the set had become a battlefield of rumors and coalitions, and Erica's supporters gathered around her in the cosmetics trailer, expressing encouragement and pledging to always be by her side. In private, Scrappy paced, divided between admiration for Erica's bravery and allegiance to his cousin Yandy, attempted to calm tensions, proposing a private meeting to discuss the problems, but Erica refused, demanding that Mendeecees meet with her in public. Her position left no space for compromise, and as the cameras rolled again, the actors knew that the drama of this season would not go away gently. They acted with an intensity that there was an undercurrent of unresolved sorrow in every phrase, and the crackling was louder than any special effect. This was no longer staged, and viewers at home felt the change as the gaze was laden with unsaid guilt. Entertainment, but a raw bleeding conflict drawing them into a more profound reality. And one thing was for sure, with Erica's evidence folder standing there as a weapon and a symbol, every scene that followed was affected by the discoveries of Episode 3, which redefined relationships, revealed secrets, and had viewers on the edge of their seats. Every set contact was tainted by the aftermath of the dinner scene, which hung over the scenario like a thundercloud. Pursuing the manila packet that had started the commotion, Erica's eyes gleamed as she walked along hallways, whispering behind her, "She's not backing down. He's going to lose it." During breaks, crew members exchanged theories, but none of them was sure how the altercation would turn out. Mendeecees paced within his trailer doors, in the meanwhile, a muted quarrel coming from a closed voice. His quiet had changed from defiant fury to calculated avoidance, and that gap just made Erica grin more. No one knew to whom he was speaking, but some assumed it was his lawyer pressing that he make a public statement. Yandy, still in shock by the revelation of the treachery, took comfort in a makeup chair, her eyes ringed in scarlet. "I feel like, everyone's watching him, but who's watching me?" she said to a friend, her voice barely above a whisper, "Ghost in my own life." A sound technician heard her practicing lines in the mirror that afternoon, and that vulnerability struck a chord with the crew, who had become used to her strength. This time, however, it was for a private monologue she intended to deliver in her confessional, not for any scene. "Even though I've supported him through thick and thin, I'm not sure whether he's the guy I married." Erica saw the story while struggled with heartbreak, and at one point she cornered a producer and slid the folder. "I want this included uncut," she said, again, across the desk. "We're only acting, viewers don't see the complete picture." The producer paused, warning her of possible legal resistance. "Let them sue," Erica murmured, but she was unimpressed. "We have the receipts." "Cross it," Scrappy said, low and fiercely, watching her leave with a mixture of admiration and uneasiness in his eyes. He had never seen her so resolute, and he was afraid of where this momentum would take him. Then came the whispered rumor that made all the difference again. An unreleased audio tape of Mendeecees confessing to his guilt had gone viral online. Late-night gossip programs featured the purportedly cast member's phone recording, which included shaky video of Mendeecees' tense face. In the video, his voice cracked as he said, "I should have done the test, but I can't deal with her drama." Fans erupted, splitting their opinions. Further, while some praised the audio as proof that Erica was right, others rejected it. "Appears to be selective editing. Where is the source? It might be a fake news setup." The fire was fueled by comments that flared across platforms. The leak shook the whole studio. In whispered circles, the cast discussed who may have filmed the exchange and why it was made public, with Rashida now speculating that it could be a ruse by the producers to increase viewership. No one knew for sure, but the tension made Bambi think it may be a renegade crew member fed up with the fight. Spiked higher than before, Mendeecees eventually entered the cast lounge after being cornered by the influx of reactions. "We need to talk," he murmured, clearing his throat, his eyes darting about the room, and his face pallid. Cameras were set up, and the actors rushed to their positions as the abrupt news was made. Mendeecees asked for a private moment with Yandy and Erica before rolling, but Mike is hot. Erica's heart pounded against her ribs as the room smoldered with unsaid accusations. Production workers silently positioned seats in a semicircle, suspense buzzing like an electric current, and Yandy's breathing was shallow, as if she was expecting a fatal blow. No cameras, no one spoke until Mendeecees gave the order. "I really must explain." Tension was replaced by a tenuous silence. Mendeecees' voice wavered as he glanced at Erica and then Yandy. He said, "Never meant to hurt either of you." Yandy's eyes were filled with sorrow, and Erica crossed her arms in an inscrutable manner. He went on to say, "I admit I was scared, but I didn't. Music, are you prepared for the consequences?" His confession lingered, so I fled while remaining silent. The air, raw and heavy. For a brief moment, it seemed as if the dispute may move closer to settlement. "You didn't just run from me," Erica murmured gently, but she persisted, leaning closer, adding, "You too ran from her. You abandoned her to protect you on your own." Yandy winced at the suggestion, but said nothing. "I couldn't handle seeing the pain on your faces," Mendeecees murmured, hanging his head. "I believed that keeping quiet would shield both ladies." His remarks resonated with us, and instead of restoring trust, his avoidance had destroyed it. Yandy's eyes glistened with tears as she heard the long-awaited admission. But the pain also ran. The private moment lasted just a few minutes before production stepped in and demanded retakes. Deep, for instant forgiveness. The weight of unfiltered emotion was evident on the faces of the women as they filed back onto the set, and Erica exuded quiet authority. Yandy seemed exhausted but determined, as if she had passed a threshold, and her previous rage had been replaced with a chilly calm. Mendeecees went behind them, shoulders bowed, the first display of humility he'd shown all season, and she saw the threshold she would never forget. Later in her confessional, Erica said that the scene's prepared words suddenly sounded hollow under the undercurrent of reality. "I wanted his responsibility, not his apologies." After giving the interaction some thought, in the meantime, Mendeecees recorded his own confessional, a rare admission of fault, and her words struck a chord, igniting fan discussions until dawn. "I ought to have spoken the truth. I'm not proud of concealing." Audiences were further divided. By submission, some regarded it as a turning moment, while others as damage management. During the evening, #Mendeecees confession and #Erica revenge trended, demonstrating the mayhem that developed as emotions boiled into uncertain of what drama may emerge. The cast got ready for the following day's work. Networks argued behind the scenes over how much of the private meeting should be broadcast, and Erica's folder continued to be a symbol and a danger. Mendeecees' audio leak had deepened the divide, but Yandy's devotion, her trust, was permanently shattered, and alliances had changed. Secrets had been revealed, and all of the cast members felt the effects. One fact, in that delicate area between camera angles, was the weight of a narrative that had intruded into real life and transcended television emerged. The fight for justice, forgiveness, and approval was still ongoing. As the sun went down, Tension hung in the air like an unspoken promise of more conflict to come as studio lights burned brightly in the distance, creating long shadows across the soundstage. Erica spent her break walking outside her trailer, reliving Mendeecees' apology over and over again since she knew the real struggle was just getting started after the candid confessions were captured on film. One tear ran down her face, but her jaw remained clenched, stayed steadfast. She wanted justice and closure, not sympathy. Yandy listened to a mindfulness app while sitting by herself on a comfortable sofa in the green room, attempting to block out the clamor of talk surrounding her. However, every calming a glimpse of Erica's fixed gaze mixed with memories of Man's agonized expression, and the chime only served to remind her of how loud her own thoughts were. She took a deep breath, closed her eyes, and realized that loyalty had become a complicated web of hurt, doubt, and love, and that forgiveness would not be easy. And promised to put her own safety first, regardless of her feelings. Within hours, fans all over the globe were aware of Mendeecees' confession and the audio leak. Every detail was examined by bloggers, who categorized it as everything from a planned damage management act to a redemption arc. When a rumor surfaced that Erica had engaged a private investigator to follow Mendeecees' previous whereabouts, uncovering proof of covert meetings and unreported phone conversations, the commotion reached a fever pitch. Producers panicked, fearing that unconfirmed information may draw litigation before this season ever aired. While Raw rallied her closest friends, Rashida and Bambian, as audience demand for video of the inquiry skyrocketed. She laid out a plan in a quiet corner of the lot. In order to formalize her claims, she would use the network's legal department, explaining that a Suzanda's letter would be sent, requesting a formal apology that would be broadcast on television, and a public recognition of her trauma. If Mon did not comply, she would move to file charges for emotional distress and defamation. She continued quietly, "I want the world to know that my pain isn't just entertainment." Her pals looked at her suspiciously, knowing she had the proof to support her claim. Her threats, but they were also aware of the danger. A full-scale court battle may irrevocably destroy the group. Unaware of the details, Mendeecees felt the change and the intensity, and he came to the set for a confession by himself. However, more than just his prepared remarks were recorded by the cameras. As he started to talk about his regrets, Erica emerged behind him, looming over his shoulder with a folder in hand. Erica cleared her throat as the director paused, uncertain whether to cut. Her calm voice whispered, "You forgot something," and Mendeecees froze, the words lingering between them. Every breath he took was inadvertently captured by microphones, and the live wire's charged voltage threatened to burn the whole set. Astonished by the intrusion, crew members gathered around monitors in the break room, where they had witnessed actors fighting. "This is going to change the game," a sound engineer said. "But never before. But never like this. Never with legal stakes hanging over every word filmed." As videos of Erica's disruption went viral, viewers argued on social media whether Erica had pushed her way into the limelight or whether the network had staged it for dramatic effect. In any case, one thing was certain: the stakes had never been greater. Attracted by the noise, Yandy followed the trail of murmurs to the edge of the set, where she saw Erica holding. She looked away with tears in her eyes after silently gasping. As she read a page from the private investigator's report, her fingers following the lines of text, she became aware that her husband's secrets had become a burden for her as she stood by herself. She looked for a producer since she felt she had to speak at that point to explain her own part in this developing story. She was determined to get her own microphone and correct. Yandy Mendeecees fled the scene before Erica could stop him, his face etched with pain and shame as he made his way between wires and light hands in a frantic attempt to get away. Depart, her face inscrutable. Yandy came out after him, using the back of her hand to wipe her cheeks. After hesitating, she went up to Erica and said, "Can we talk?" Her voice trembled as she asked. With the folder still gripped securely, Erica turned and observed Yandy for a long period before bringing them closer. Yandy's comments poured out quickly, and their talk was whispered, borne by the chilly evening wind. "I feel like everything we had was based on falsehoods, and I don't know how to be with him anymore." "You're right," Erica said, nodding, her shoulders drooping for the first time. "And he must understand that you are more than just a byproduct of this situation." That quiet conversation, driven by mutual treachery, created a tenuous bond. A heartbeat passed as they stayed. The consequences of one man's secrets bind to women. Shaken and unkempt, DC withdrew to his trailer on stage. A bottle of water was handed across his desk by an aide. Head in hands, he sat ponderously. There was a knock on the door. His brother was providing assistance. Their voices were muffled as they chatted quietly. Mendeecees said, "Inside, I didn't believe it would go this far. I believed that an apology would suffice." His sibling, he shook his head. He said, "You underestimated her. You must immediately confront the consequences." A dim camera light flickered outside the trailer as someone filmed through the windscreen. There was no way out, not even in his refuge. When darkness fell, the network called an emergency meeting and the cast assembled in a huge conference room. The front was occupied by executives. Their solemn expressions, they spoke to the film crews, reminding them all of the dangers of defamation and the need of adhering to network policies. As they lay there, the room was alive with anxious energy. Ground rules. No cameras after this. Attorneys would observe every script meeting in the future, and any discovered off-camera film would be examined for conformity. Mendeecees' attorney and Erica's legal counsel gave each other brief nods in 3 rows. Between them, Yandy sat with her gaze fixated on the table, caught between dread and support. Following the preliminaries, Erica was contacted in private by the head of production for the network. Yandy, meanwhile, with her phone grip firm, she paced beside her own vehicle. Her eyes swept over a rush of comments on social media, some of them harsh, others of them encouraging. A statement hit her and she hesitated. This fairy tale disaster is not fair to Yandy. She let out a breath and turned, seeking insight by focusing on the night sky. At that time, she realized that cameras and network editors would not write the next chapter of their life. Rather, the decisions they made in a different world. Mendeecees sat in his car and watched. He closed his eyes as he drove the motor, idle, and thought about the guy he had been before, controversy and celebrity. His thumb hovered over Yandy's number as he went for his phone and opened a contacts list. Rather than phoning, the private investigator's report file was erased from his screen. It was an insignificant deed, a flimsy apology. As he ran his fingers over his face, he understood that it would take more than just words or legal paperwork to restore confidence. It would need real shift. The lot became quiet as the night dragged on. Lights turned off one by one, out on sound stages and trailers. However, the reverberations of the conflicts that day persisted, weaved into the very fabric of the location where performance and reality met. The manila folder sat dormant in the empty hallways. It's on Erica's desk. Weight serves as a reminder of both past and future struggles. The drama was far from over, even though the cameras stopped rolling from above, and everyone was aware that there were developing legal storms and intense emotions. The battle for truth, atonement, and reconciliation would resume at daybreak. Beneath the harsh scrutiny of the public,